Hi everyone, this is the next video on extra skills practice. We're going to be looking at simplifying algebraic fractions, solving equations and rearranging equations. I'm going to start with simplifying algebraic fractions. So if you look, and we are going to simplify this fraction here. Now we're going to use the process of finding common factors and cancelling where possible. You may look at the x squared here and think, oh, I can cancel those two. But we can only cancel if every term has an x squared in common. And they don't. Same with the x here. We can only cancel the x if each term has an x in common. And they don't. So you need to refrain from using that process if that's what you thought you were going to do, because it's incorrect. If we look at the numerator and the denominator, both are quadratic expressions because they have an x squared term. So we're going to rely on previous knowledge here and factorise the expressions because that will help with simplifying. So where possible, you need to be factorising. So looking at the numerator, there's an x in common. And x multiplied by x is x squared. And x multiplied by 3 is 3x. Now for the denominator, I'm going to have two brackets. As well as using the strategies from the previous video, there is also another strategy to bear in mind. When simplifying algebraic fractions, there must be something to simplify. And because we've got an x and an x plus 3 on the numerator, that must mean there is either going to be an x on the denominator or an x plus 3. We can't have an x on the denominator because this expression is going to factorise into two brackets. So that must mean that one of the brackets is going to be x plus 3. Now for the purpose of this example, I'm just going to factorise this normally. So I'm going to have an x here and an x here. 3 is prime, so we're going to have a 3 and a 1. And then think about the signs. I need a positive 2x and a negative 3. So I'm going to have a plus and a minus. I'll have a plus 3 and a minus 1. As you can see, there is an x plus 3 on the numerator and an x plus 3 on the denominator. So I can cancel because they are common factors. So I'm left with x over x minus 1. We don't need to include the brackets. And we can't simplify any further because each of the terms don't have anything in common. So I'm going to use the strategy for this one. Let's look by factorising the numerator. So the highest common factor is 4x. Then I'm going to have 2x here and a plus 1. Now, the denominator will have two brackets, and one of the brackets must be 2x plus 1. That has helped reduce time and reduced having to use trial and error, because this 6x squared can be split into 6x and x, or 2x and 3x. So we know the other bracket must start with a 3x to get 6x squared. Now, looking here, I've got a 5, so 5 is prime, which means this number will be 5, and it's a minus 5, so straight away I know this is going to be a minus because I've got a positive here, and to make a minus I need a minus. We can check that we're going to get minus 7x, so 2x multiplied by minus 5 is minus 10x, and 3x multiplied by 1 is 3x. So minus 10x, add 3x will give us minus 7x. Let's have a look at what we can cancel. We've got 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 1 there. So we're just left with 4x over 3x minus 5. Let's have a look at a couple more examples. I'm going to start by factorising the numerator. This is a nice one, so I'm going to have x in both brackets. 5 is prime, so let's put a 5 and a 1. And then I need a minus 4x and a minus 5. So I'm going to have a minus 5 and a plus 1. Now, this expression, I can see there is a common factor of 2. So I'm going to take a 2 out and have x squared minus 1 in the brackets. Now there's nothing to cancel at this stage, and that's because the denominator can still be simplified. You may have spotted it. It's called the difference of two squares. So we can write that as x plus 1 and x minus 1. So now we can cancel. I can cancel the x plus 1s. And we're left with x minus 5 over 2x minus 1. Now I'm going to leave the brackets as they are because it's simplified. We don't need to expand. We'll leave it as that. Next, I'm going to go on to the last one, and I'm going to start with the denominator. Now, 9x minus x cubed, there's a common factor here. There's a common factor of x. Now I'm going to do this down here for the time being. So if I take out x, I'm going to have 9 minus x squared. Now, I can still work with that. It just might get a little bit more difficult when we get up to the numerator part. So what I'm going to do, instead of taking out just an x, I'm actually going to take out a negative x, because that will make sure that the x squared in the bracket is positive and not negative. So if I have a think about it now, minus x times by minus 9 will give me a positive 9x, and minus x multiplied by x squared will give me a negative x cubed. Now I'm just going to rearrange so it looks like the expression from the one above. So I'm going to have minus x. X squared minus 9 is a difference of two squares, so we're going to have x plus 3 and x minus 3. Now let's look at the top part. I'm going to have 2x in one bracket and x in another bracket. Now 3 is prime, so I'm going to have 3 and 1. I just need to think about the positioning. I need to have a positive 3 and a negative 7x. Well, if I put the 3 there and the 1 there, I'm going to get a 6x and an x, which if they're both negative, will make a minus 7x and will make a positive 3. Now I can simplify, so cancel the x minus 3's, and I'm just left with 2x minus 1 on the top and minus x plus 3 on the bottom. Now I've covered a few questions there, so I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at these.